You are back. I am back. We are all back, Jack. It is the 29th of April, 2019. It is 1:41 in the afternoon. Please ensure you follow all your local fields on social media. If you're in Northern California, we have CQB City in Stockton, Yuka's UKAUS in Galt. This is in California. West Coast Adventure Park in Slough House. US Airsoft way up there in Anderson. And the Airsoft Ministry in rickety Roseville, California. Make sure you're following all your local fields. All of them. Even if you don't go to them, follow them anyway. Could be fun. Coming up, we have events. Let's get into some events. The 18th of May, Stockton is hosting their 3-on-3 speed tournament. Sorry about that. It is, I believe, $70 for registration. You have to call them and contact them to register. Airsoft Ministry on the 29th of June is doing a 3-player TDM. That is also the same day as our swap meet, our very first organized swap meet, and we are doing a tracer only night game that same day, whole bunch of stuff going on. And just announced, there's a lot of other stuff, but just announced, not really announced, but just rebranded the Speedsoft tournament that was originally scheduled for the 28th of September is now officially a Jungle Ball tournament. Possibly the first ever Jungle Ball tournament not in Project N1. Maybe not. Who knows? But we're doing it in the Airsoft Ministry. The 28th, so yesterday, 28th April, was the Jungle Ball rules meeting. All the big teams were there. I was blessed enough to be welcome there. They went over the rules, and N1 will be updating that rule set soon. I have the notes, I was there, but I don't feel it's respectful for me to put out information about another field's format before that field actually does it themselves. That's not my. Look, N1, John doesn't care. They don't care. They're just dude, they don't care. But I would feel like a jerk face. Let me scoot this out of the way. I'd feel like a big old jerk face. So that is the reason that I'm sort of holding off on the big, breaking news in Airsoft world for the rule updates. The format's still the same. Format is still Jungle Ball, still the basic rules, but some of the aspects of how the tournament will be conducted, I feel is pretty significant. So I'm going to wait for N1 to cut that out, which leads us into my SoCal trip. Boy, was that cool. I was in Southern California from, let's see the dates here. So I left the 26th of April, which was a Friday. So I left Roseville about 9 a.m. on Friday. Spent the whole day driving, more or less. Got to Tack City in Fullerton around 5, 6-ish. Traffic. And LA, what are we doing? What are we doing with this traffic? Why is there so many people in LA? Why? Why are there so many people? And why do you have the worst drivers? Listen to me. This is not an exaggeration. Every time I was driving on the freeway, there was an accident. That's not an exaggerate. No, literally every time I got on the freeway from A to B, somewhere in the middle was an accident. What's going on? What's going on, LA? Anyway, got to Tack around maybe closer to 6:30, 5-ish, somewhere in the evening time. Gave everyone a big old hug and went on the Tack City Unfiltered. Yeah, Tack City Unfiltered, the Tack City podcast, which is now a pre-recorded format, not a live format, which I love. Pardon me. Was on there with Derek and Sonny. Had a blast. I got dark. I'll be perfectly honest. And one of the first things I did when I got back this morning, it's the 29th, I text Ethan and the pastor, hey, I got, a little dark. Swore a little bit and dropped a few bombs here and there. I got dark. I brought up some of the darker things of my past that I really don't directly advertise necessarily in a manner in which other people would be able to detect. we're not really going to go into that because then you won't watch the podcast. So he's cutting that. That should be out, I think, around 3 p.m. today, give or take. I think Derek said he was still in the process of uploading it. That was a couple hours ago. So it could be up right now. I just haven't checked. But check that out because we got dark. You noticed, I'll do a side video on this. My ASM Caber on Instagram, I do not use profanity. I will not. I refuse to use profanity. And I don't show like me having a beer or me at a bar or me like if I want to have a cigar or something like that. Like you're not going to see that. That doesn't mean that I don't do those things. It just means that I don't put that content out there for like younger kids to see. Like that's not me. I'm not talking down to anyone that necessarily that does that. It's just that ain't me, babe. Anyway, so Friday podcast gets over. My understanding is that Tiffany Ron Giggles is the head person or one of the main people that runs the Tac City boot camp. She was not going to be able to make it, which is kind of sad because I wanted to give her a big ol' hug. So it was kind of like, hey, who's gonna run the boot camp or whatever? I was like, I'll do it. I don't care. It's another training day for me. Of course I'll do it. So I kind of put some notes together with Frank Chang, the 1S1K captain. Sent some notes to him and some lesson plans. I think I kind of blew his mind. Like, I don't think he was ready for that level of detail of what I like doing. He sent them to Hasim. I believe that's how I pronounce his name. And Hasim kind of was kind of like the overall runner of things. They had, I believe it was Sean from Black Sheep Airsoft, I believe, who is the fourth guy out there. I believe that's his name. So me, Frank and I, use proper English here, Frank and I took the advanced kids, which was maybe 12. We started with 12, and I think some of the kids from the new group came over, so I think we ended with close to like 20 kids in our group. Went over like kind of some advanced, some concepts I like to teach, a couple drills I like to teach, gave them some tricks. So I don't want to say I'm going to openly apologize to Sonny when he sees this, but if you notice a handful of kids are a little bit more aggressive and a little bit faster than they were prior to that boot camp, and more kids are complaining about getting shot in the neck, I don't want to say I'm not sorry, but I kind of like, I had a bang. I get aggressive and real competitive when I teach. That's just how I am. I caveated everything with make sure what I'm telling you is applicable per field rules at whatever field you're playing at. But I was definitely telling kids, like, look, if you're shooting center mass, you're a noob. You need to be shooting in the neck. Not like new players, but like if you're running in a tournament or in a competitive, serious format or like a full force format, look, you need to be aiming for the neck. One BB is all it takes, but the placement of that one BB is up for debate. Boom. Okay, so that was real cool. And I got a hat. I got a tack hat. I got an N1 shirt. So they have the flaming poo. Do I have it? Is it up here? Anyway. My room is a complete disaster area right now. They have like the flaming poo style logo. I don't want to wear that around the kids. I don't think it would go over well in a church, like flaming poo. So I got the N1 logo shirt. But the N1 flaming poo shirt will be going to Jaeger from DOA. So it's going to get it good home. I also told you guys I was going to get one of these. LTD hat, baby. Scored one. Might be one of the only guys in Airsoft, not SoCal, to have one of these. So you ready to see? You ready Instagram for just craziness? Tac City hat. N1 shirt. Tac City hat. And an N1 shirt. How can I? All right. Now, if your mind is blown right now, I want you to just stop watching, call medical professionals, seek medical advice. If your brain cannot handle the fact that I'm wearing an N1 shirt and a Tac City hat, are we okay? We can recover from this. Instagram is going to continue. Anyway, so the reason I'm not wearing hats anymore on here is because no one told me to do that. Even though I have like this bright thing going on in my 5 head, if I wear a hat, I don't know. Is this cool? I'm gonna rock this for a while. Do I get like down into this? Like, am I cool? Am I edgy? Is this how all the cool kids are doing it? Huh? I'm clearly someone's dad. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed being down there in SoCal. I want to do the boot camp again. I just got to find out when I have the time. I can't really summer. I'll get into that in a second, I guess. The main purpose for me to go down. So anytime I go down to SoCal, and by any time I mean both times, it's usually it's more of like a business trip. Not necessarily for me to go down and play at other fields. That's cool. That's part of the fun, for sure. As a player, I love it. But I want to see what can I go down to SoCal, steal, and bring back up to NorCal. So for instance, the first time I went down for Airsoft Con 2018, I came back and we started doing more single elimination TDM. So SoCal TDM is 3 rounds, 3 minutes apiece of single elimination team deathmatch on the whole field, because they run single elimination matches or sets in SoCal, at least in the indoor field, TAC and N1, which are the only 2 fields I've played at. You don't see continuous respawn games, which is what we play predominantly, at least at CQB City, Airsoft Ministry, and I think Uka's plays continuous respawn games for the most part. Not saying that we don't go away from other formats, but I'm saying that the kind of the bread and butter is continuous respawn games. You just go in, touch the whatever, and spawn back in. So I got a bunch of notes and stuff that I want to bring to, obviously, Airsoft Ministry, and I'm going to run them all past Jason at CQB City. See what he thinks, see if he would like to implement any of that, because I love all these fields, so I would like to try and make all of them better. If you're watching this and you play at if you play at Uka's, like if Julian's watching this, or Punisher, if you're watching this, any of the guys from the other fields are curious about what I'm trying to do in Roseville, hit me up. Usually I just talk mostly with Jason at Stockton, because me and him we're talking to each other all the time about stuff we want to do with fields and Airsoft and the NorCal competitive scene and blah, blah, blah. So because there is constant dialogue between me and him, or he and I, we just share stuff all the time, because no one from the other fields has really come to me and said, hey, what do you think about this? Does that make sense? Anyway, so Tac City Boot Camp was dope. Let me get back in a chronological order. Friday. Podcast ends. I go down, walk the field a little bit. I go up tall, say hi to a couple people, give some hugs out. I didn't play Friday. I did not play Friday night. Usually the first time I go down to TAC, it's usually, so far it's like me just getting into town and me like being on a podcast or talking shop, doing like adult managerial stuff. Hey. Because I now carry myself more as a manager than a player. Before I do anything, I'm a manager. Or at least an assistant manager for a field, versus me wanting to get reps in on a field. Because I want to make my field better. The way I feel I make my field better is to be more managerial than player-based. If that makes, like, me playing on fields doesn't give me as broad of a base of ideas or understanding or inspiration as talking to like LTD about stuff, about things that they see in the area, or about John from N1 about like how they're running their business and how they're doing things, or Sonny and Derek or Frank and how they're doing things with Tac City, and kind of like compare and contrast the two and steal everything and bring it up to NorCal. So stealing your ideas. Anyway, so that was dope. So Saturday I met with Derek at Salt and Pepper, which if I were to describe Salt and Pepper, it would be like a sports bar for old people. That's the vibe I got, because it was very like Buffalo Wild Wings sports bar style meets like Black Bear Diner style food. It was so good. Oh, Friday Frank and I went to a pho place in downtown Fullerton. Neep, neep something, blah, 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 blah. It was amazeballs. Anyway, Saturday morning rolls around. I have breakfast with Derek. I do Derek's podcast that he does in his car, which reminded me a lot of like carpool karaoke, that style, like camera in the dashboard and then like microphones. Is so cool. And talked about like nerd stuff. So great. So both of those things are going to be out very soon. Saturday I played at TAC. I did. Well, and then I talked with Derek about some like tech level stuff and just some rental things and kind of like what's been helping them. Went down and played 2 or 3 sets, I think. I think I got like 2 or 3 sets in at TAC. Excuse me. And then went from TAC to N1 and got 2 or 3. I think I got 3 sets in, 3 solid sets in at N1. Got footage on both, had a great time. Everyone always asks me, like, what do you like more? Okay. I'll reiterate this. TAC and N1 have 2 very different vibes, and I don't mean that in a negative way. They're very different fields. TAC is a lot more like, I would say more like Ministry, in the sense that it has way more younger, newer, casual players. Way more. And there's about 60 kids on that field. And I would say it's half the field size of CQB City is probably what TAC is running right now. Half seems accurate. I'd say it's about half that size. And it's a lot closer together. It's not as kind of open-ish. Like CQB City is a pretty good mix of different things. TAC is a lot tighter together. And it's got a lot of, for the field size, it has a fair amount of people. So it's kind of hard to move. It's not a bad thing. It's just different. But I like it. I really like that field. I like their layout. I like how they do things. I like the Speed QB field, and I like how they have it set up. I like the high rise part, like the seconds, like the walkways. I think that's dope. N1 is airtight. N1 is an airtight layout, and if you're running an M4 standard length, like a standard carbine length rifle, good luck. That's what I had. I had my DSG Crytek, my standard M4 length rifle. I was struggling a little bit on some tight edges. If you have like a smaller PDW, like a stubby rifle or a pistol, you'll be fine. Or like a breacher shotgun, like the TM Breacher, you'll be fine. If you have an M16 length, you're hosed. If you have an M4 length rifle, you could get by. You can get by with an M4 rifle, but if you like to move around and run like I do, it's not ideal. And there was maybe, when I showed up, there was probably about 20, I'd say close to 20-ish or so people on the field. And then some people, I think a bunch of people went to get dinner, and then there's like 10 or 15 on the field, which I actually like. So I like N1, as a player, I like N1 more because the games are smaller. So I don't have to worry about like running over little kids and stuff like that. The N1 field is smaller, and usually the matches are a little bit smaller. As a player, I like smaller games more than bigger games. Yeah, bigger games, you're gonna have more targets and more opportunities for film on the ground. Blah 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 blah. N1 as a player, I like the field setup more at N1 because it also has less players. Now, less players means they don't make as much money. So as a manager, as a business guy, I'm like, N1, we need more people. This field is incredible. How do we get more people here? But at the same time, I'm like, don't get any more people here because this is really fun. So I'm torn. Like what side of my opinion? Do you want the player side? Do you want the manager side? Like, what do you want? As a player, I favor N1 a little bit more because there's less people. Is that a news play? Like, Caber says he likes N1 more. I'm like, well, there's a caveat. There's yes and no at the same time. That is not to say that I don't like TAC. I love going to TAC. I love the Speed QB field. I think it's brilliant. I really like how they've incorporated almost like the paintball style Doritos, kind of like the pyramids, I guess. I was sad that they didn't bring the plexi wall out. I did want to play that plexi wall. I love that idea. That's one of the things that I would like to try and get in Roseville. I don't know if we'll be able to swing it logistically because it would just be a real pain for us because we're an outdoor field. We'd have to put it. It's a thing. Look, anything we do at the ministry is going to be a logistical pain in the butt. Okay, moving on. So Saturday, played N1, played about 3 solid sets and had a blast. Met the AARP CQB guys. Those dudes are hilarious. Those guys are so funny. Oh, they're so funny. I love those guys. I can't wait to go back down and hang out with those dudes. After N1, since I stayed at the Fullerton Inn, which is like down the road from TAC, I swung back in the TAC, talked to Frank again about kind of this game plan we were coming up with for the boot camp. Because remember, the whole purpose for me going down was the TAC City boot camp. And walked the field a little bit more, kind of took some pictures and sort of like made a lesson plan in my head as to what I wanted to do. Because I didn't know if I was going to run the beginners or the advanced. I wanted to do the advanced more because I had like more advanced drills that I wanted to give to the advanced players in SoCal, or at least in TAC, and see what they wanted, or like get feedback from them. And generally speaking, they liked what I was teaching them. Like, I feel like I went over some real good, solid, simple stuff with them, or at least gave them another way to view or to explain or to conceptualize what they had already known. Kind of like, hey, you know this thing you've been doing? Here's why this works. So that was cool. No, okay. So Sunday rolled around, and I took Sunday morning very seriously. Whenever I teach, if it's on the range, if it's on an airsoft field, if I'm doing real steel, if I'm teaching like CCW classes, if I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I always try to mental prep. Sometimes I will listen to, there's a thing called the Launch Code Podcast, and one of their episodes is with a guy named Matthew Graham, of Graham Combat. You need to listen to that man. If you value what I say, these are the gentlemen you need to listen to. Matthew Graham of Graham Combat, Travis Haley of Haley Strategic, Kyle Lamb of Viking Tactics, and Pat McNamara of T-Max Inc. Those four, if you're not listening to them, you're not an operator. I'm telling you right now, right off the bat. If you're not listening to what those guys are putting out, you're missing a lot of real quality stuff. On the non-shooting side, like if I'm running a range and I feel like being a little bit more hippie-ish with my day, I will listen to usually Jimi Hendrix's last interview. That's what it's called. Go on YouTube, listen to the last interview Jimi Hendrix did. I think he did it in the UK in the 70s. But that's how I like to do my mental preparation when I teach. So, got my head game right. Rocked my ministry shirt because I knew there would be pictures taken, so I wanted to also kind of promote the field and the ministry, and as such, kind of the church and all that stuff. So I wore my shirt, and it's red. TAC City guys wear reds. It's like, okay, maybe this will help like separate me just from like a normal, like a parent or just a dude. So we set that up. We played awesome classic hits as we were kind of like warming up and getting the field ready, and I was dancing the night away. It was great. The boot camp was incredible for me. The vibe and the energy was so incredibly positive. It was so groovy. It was like nothing I had really experienced before. Just a bunch of kids having a great time. Especially on the advanced edge, or on the advanced side. If you look at my IGTV, I posted one of the final matches we did with the advanced guys, where we put one team against the other team, and you can hear me coaching. Like, that's how I coach airsoft, in the middle of a match. So if you're coaching in the middle of a match, you're doing your players no justice by telling them where players are. That you're not making them better. If anything, you're making them worse because now they're relying on you to do like 80% of the work is finding the players and taking them out. So you'll hear me give it like ambiguous generic advice. By that I mean like watch your angles, keep your gun up, keep your head up, keep moving forward, go for, sweep, things like that. But that's nothing that the other team can't listen to and go, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to keep my gun up. Oh, you know what? I should keep moving to advance my position. That's a good idea. I'm going to keep doing that. So that was grooving. After boot camp, I didn't get the original plan was I was going to do the boot camp, play like maybe 1 or 2 games, and then head to N1 for the Jungle Balls rule meeting, which was scheduled to start around like 2:30. So like 1 o'clock. So we ended at about noon-ish at TAC. They did like some raffles, some giveaways, some talking, thanking parents, shaking hands, taking pictures and all that. That took me to about 1 o'clock. And I was assuming it would take me at least an hour to get to El Monte from Fullerton, because I always assume I'm going to get stuck in traffic. I didn't. I got there at took me about a half hour, 40 minutes, more like 35 minutes to get to N1. Traffic actually wasn't that bad. There was only a minor accident and slowdown, so it wasn't that bad. People in your accidents. Anyway. So got to N1, gave everyone hugs, saw all the N1 guys were there, got to give LTD hugs, I got my LTD hat, and I got my N1 shirts. Stuck around for the Jungle Ball meeting, and I got to meet a lot of the local players and meet a lot of the teams. So whenever I usually go somewhere in the Airsoft world, I always kind of underestimate like that people actually listen to and in some cases kind of value what I say. Like, so, like when I introduced myself, like I had something to contribute to the group. I was like, hey, I'm James from ministry. And they're like, yeah, Caber, we know. Like, really? Like you guys know who I'm fans of all of your teams. Like, how you know me? Like, I know but you know me? Like, it's weird for me. So I try not to fanboy out sometimes because I am a big fan of a lot of those teams and, like their achievements and how they play and, their status in the community. I respect that and I really admire that. And because of that, I try to like not just start running and hugging everyone. So usually I try to leave everyone alone. And if like people want to say, like if I want to meet someone, usually I'll just wait till I guess someone comes up to me because I'm always so socially awkward kind of to make that first move, or I'll just wait for someone to like introduce me to someone, which is stupid because I'm 33. So I'm like, just go say hi. Like, just go say hi to this team or this team or that. Like, you freaking follow all of them on Instagram. You've DM'd half of them 1,000 times. Like, but I don't wanna. I just wanna stand here. It's stupid. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, the rules meeting was cool. I'm very much looking forward to what is going to happen with Jungle Ball. And then I'm definitely also very curious to see Speed QB incorporated into N1. I'm waiting for the specifics on that. I am going to make the attempt to come to try and ref the Jungle Ball tournament in June, the big tournament. I'm going to make the attempt. I don't think I'm on the range that weekend. But I really, one of the things they brought up was like, we need more refs. I'm like, I'll come down. I thought the Jungle Ball tournament was in November, so I was like, oh, I'll come down in November. But you get it. Well, screwed that up. But it's in June. So the Jungle Ball tournament is in June. That's like, it's not a big deal. That's not like breaking secret news. The problem with June, the problem with the summer break from school is I'm not pulling my GI Bill. I'm only getting my VA disability. Keep in mind, I don't have a job. I do not have a job. I live off of my VA disability, which is $1,400 a month, and my GI Bill, which is 22. And the first semester is just like me, like paying stuff off, and my timing belt needs to be replaced on my truck, and some other stuff needs to get replaced on my truck. So that's a rack. That's easily a rack. And I still have to fly my daughter out from Texas to see my daughter in July, and I fly her out. And spending time with my daughter. Like, I have other expenses. I can't just like do back-to-back like SoCal trips for Airsoft for fun that like I'm not getting paid for. I would love to. Like, if it was in November, I wouldn't care because I'm pulling GI Bill. So I have that extra money. June, May, not happening. I'm telling you right now, May is not happening unless someone's like, "Hey, we'll give you a bunch of money," or I could hitchhike down to LA. Like, it's not going to happen. May is not going to happen. June might. I'm going to try and see what I can move around and see what I can make happen, but I would like to come back down in June and help out. Is that actually going to happen? I don't know. As of right now, I'm just going to say it's not going to happen because of resources and funds. Could it? Could. Monkeys could fly out of my butt too. A lot of things could happen. I don't know. Do I want it to happen? Yeah, I want monkeys to fly out of my butt. Wait, what? That didn't make sense. So, and after the rules meeting, Ryan bullied me into playing a set with him on the field, and I got to play with all the N1 guys down there. Oh no, stop twisting my arm, I'll play Airsoft at N1 again. So that was a blast. So, that is my SoCal blog, I guess. I don't do travel vlogs. Like, me posting a GoPro on my dashboard and driving just seems really boring to me. Like, it's just me driving like, I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. That's that. Please ensure you are please ensure you're following all your local fields. Even if you're a N1 player, please make sure you're keeping up on all the other SoCal events. If you're a TAC player, if you're an HSP player, please make sure you're keeping up on all your SoCal events and support your greater Airsoft community. Southern California, Northern California, East Coast, West Coast, other countries. Support your community. That's it. Go away.